Hi, welcome to Crafted Sweetly. I'm Diana. Thanks so much for being here. So this video will be about how to create this horse mandala, but instead of using a Cricut, which it would never really be able to handle with this kind of intricate design, this is made out of wood and I did it using an xTool laser cutter. So let's get into the video. Links and everything are below. If you have any questions about it, please don't hesitate to comment. So let's get into the project. To create the horse, because as you can see it's a mandala and it has multiple layers on it, I used a laser cutter, laser engraver. And the one that I have is an xTool. It's the model's xTool D1. And before I show you how I cut everything, I wanted to show you how I create this in their software. So just like the Cricut, xTool has their own desktop software, and it's called the xTool Creative Space, just like Cricut Design Space, that type of thing. And it's same kind of idea. It has the shapes, text. I won't go into too much detail as far as the software here. But what I wanted to show you is I basically just upload the images that I'm interested in cutting out. So I will click on image. And this particular design I downloaded from Creative Fabrica. And I do have a link below in my description box for it. I love Creative Fabrica. You've probably heard me refer to it multiple times in my videos. I pretty much always find the design that I'm looking for on that website. So if you haven't looked at it before, do check it out. It's definitely a place worth getting a subscription to. Anyway, as you can see, this has 4 different layers. So it starts with 0, could have been 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's 0, 1, 2, 3 as far as the layers. And I'm just going to click on the first one. You cannot upload all 4 of them at the same time. It just won't let you. So I will upload one at a time. And initially it tells me that it's too large, so I want to fit it on the canvas. Even as it is, it's too large. Up here, it has information about the size of it. It's in millimeters. We can change this under settings to inches initially, just so you can see where it is. And right now it's 16 inches. That's way too large. But if you look at this little lock, it's unlocked. So if I try and change this, it'll distort it versus keeping the proportions as it is. So I'll lock it first and then I can drag a corner and it doesn't change the proportion. And I believe the size that I cut it at is about half of this. So I think it was like 7 inches for the width of the horse. So this way it's gonna be 7 inches. Let me go down a little more. So I just want to make a note of what this is. Let's just change it to 7 even so that we're always the same. And then this changes automatically. Now, so the width is always 7. I'm going to add the next layer. So that was 0. Number 1, open. Same idea, it's too large. And now before I do anything, I'm going to lock it. And then just change this. Now it's already inches because the canvas is in inches. So I'm changing this to 7. And I'll just drag it over. So that's number 2. And then do number 3 and number 4. Same idea. Lock it. 7 inches. And it really depends on the size of wood that you have as far as how big you can create this. Okay, and then my last one, that's the top layer on the mandala. Locked, 7 inches. So there are the 4 layers. Now, if you note, when I click on one here, it says engrave, but that's not what I want. I want all these to be cut out of wood. So I can select all of them and then just change it to cut. And you can see this kind of changed because it's going to cut where the lines are. On all of these, I do have to connect the machine in order for me to be able to change this and kind of see where it fits on the wood. But based on the instructions in the mat comes with the machine, it tells you exactly what power you need to be at, the speed that this needs to be at. And it's the instructions are in millimeters, so at that point I changed this back to millimeters because I mean, you could always just stick to millimeters, but this information in the instruction is in millimeters. And it's going to be 100, and if I remember correctly, it's like 9 for the speed. 9 millimeters per second is what it's going to cut. And then you just hit connect device, and then it connects it once you plug it in for it. Okay, at this point I have this is the xTool laser cutter, and the additional piece that I have connected here is called an air assist. What that does, it kind of cools the laser, and also it seems to blow away the small pieces. So that's why I glued down the wood to this tile that I have on here, just to make sure that the wood doesn't move while it's cutting. So once I turn this on, you're going to hear an even slightly louder noise. And if I go back to my computer and click on framing, and what I do is I'm going to hit the start button, and this moves and shows me exactly where the image is going to be, and I want to make sure that it fits exactly on the wood. And I generally do that a couple of times just to make sure that I'm not missing anything, you know, like something is not off. And it does look slightly skewed here, so I just want to make sure that when it's cutting, it doesn't go off the wood. On this side, it was slightly off, maybe another millimeter over. So right now it stopped there, it's gonna come all the way here, and then on this side I still have clearance. Okay, so that's ready to go. I'm done with the framing part, and now I'm going to start it. So it's going to cut the first piece, and you can kind of hear the air assist right there. You know what, I'm gonna add one more little piece of wood back here. I mean a little piece back here, just to make sure the wood doesn't go anywhere. And it's gonna start with the solid piece and then progressively get with less and less cutting. So I'm just going to start, and then you can see exactly what it's doing. So now I did start on the computer, and then I just hit the start button on the machine. Sorry about the jiggling here. I was just trying to get a little closer for you. I'm gonna let this cut. It's gonna take a while, especially once it gets to the other horses that have a lot of detail to them. This first one won't take as long, but I'll film a little bit, just kind of show you how it looks so far. And usually I try and do this kind of in a ventilated area, just because there's a lot of smoke from the wood burning. And the machine does, or the engraver does come with a set of glasses to protect your eyes, so it's not something you want to stare at for sure. But as you can see right there, that's the leg of the horse right there. And this machine is pretty awesome. You can make cake toppers, obviously, you know, mandalas like this one, ornaments. I'm definitely going to be playing a lot with this machine. Now it has started on the second horse, and the other thing that I forgot to mention is that the air assist attachment, what it also does, it helps so that it doesn't burn the wood as badly, or it doesn't burn the wood, meaning it doesn't leave burn marks where it shouldn't. And while it's cutting, just wanted to tell you a little more regarding the xTool laser cutter. When I got it, it was pretty easy to assemble. I did follow a video that I am linking in the description box below. So if you decide to get one of these xTool machines, and I have a link for that as well, but if you get one, this particular video was so clear and easy to understand as far as putting together the machine, because it does come in pieces, but it didn't take very long. It took maybe half an hour or so to put together. That video was super helpful, so again, it's going to be a link in the description box below. So as you can see, it does blow these little pieces over, so I kind of keep an eye on it because I don't want that little piece to be exactly where the next cut is going to be, which means that it wouldn't cut all the way through. And now it's cutting the outline of the horse. Up to now it was doing the intricate design within the horse, the detail part, and now it's doing the outline and cutting around everything so that we have a solid piece. And as it's cutting that, I also wanted to show you, this is the first piece. So it was cutting over here, and the wind or the air from the air assist was kind of lifting the leg on this horse, and I just picked it up. I didn't want it to kind of move that much, but there is the first piece to the mandala. Okay, now it's finished the second one cutting out, and it's moving on to the one that's actually is not taking as long because it's going to be the top layer in the mandala. Okay, at this point the laser cutter has cut all 4 layers, as you can see them right here. So I'm going to push this out of the way. I'll actually turn this off. You can hear me a little better. And let me turn off the air assist. Okay, so now we'll just get the wood off here. So you can see this is the that's the leftover wood. And as you can see, I picked that one up, and that's all I want for this one. So some of these may be stuck in here. You can poke them out. Here, I'll use one of these to poke out any pieces that may have been stuck right at the top. And this is a piece of my painter's tape that I was using. I'll just peel that off right there. And then this is how it kind of goes on top of it. And I do have one layer here, and what I noticed just now is the wood shifted. So things like this do happen. This shifted while it was cutting, so as you can see, this did not cut properly because doesn't have a nice outline to it. So I'm okay with that. I'll skip that one layer. I just want to show you what you can do with it. At this point I would be coloring all these layers, but that's the top layer, the middle, and the bottom. So in the photo that I posted on Facebook, it did have 4 layers to it, but I think this works just as well. I think this last one would have been just giving it just a little more depth right there, which you almost can't even see if it's kind of put in between, but I'm not going to use it because it doesn't have these cutouts on the leg part. So I'll skip that, and you have all these left over. Now depending on what you're cutting, some left pieces would work well for other projects. So I was cutting something, I don't remember what, and in the process I ended up with these hearts, and I think I was using the negative for something else. But how cool is that? So this works great with wood, paper, you know, you can cut it out of anything really. If you have any questions about the xTool laser cutter, please comment below. You know, happy to assist with anything, but definitely a game changer if you're looking to get into more intricate designs that a Cricut cannot handle. And obviously a Cricut would take forever to cut something through basswood. I've tried that, and it actually needed like 15 passes over that same wood in order to cut through it, and I don't think it did even then. But loving this machine. So if you have it in your budget, definitely something to consider to get. You can make lots of fun projects with it. And now for the final step in this, it's coloring the wood. And for that I'm just going to use these alcohol inks for 2 of them. So these are the Spectrum Noir, and then a gold for the outline part. And for the bottom layer I'm just gonna use this darkest color, and this does have 2 separate tips. It almost has like a plum color to it, but it's gonna be dark once I put the other layer on it. You're really not gonna be able to see much of this. Looks black on camera as I look at it, but you can kind of see a hint of plum to it, I guess. The nice thing with these markers is that really wide tip, so it covers a big surface area. Now if you don't have these markers, you can use any other kind of paint. You can use different kind of alcohol ink and just use a sponge. You don't really necessarily have to have these exact colors. You can really color it with anything. You can probably use Sharpies, like the wide tipped Sharpie to it. Okay, so that's my bottom layer. Then I'm gonna do this one, which is gonna be lighter in color. So that's the skinny end. Let's go with this side. And as you can see, this is a much lighter colored. So I'm coloring these separately because I don't want the ink to get to the other layer. And then I'll glue them together afterwards. Could of course always just leave them natural. You don't have to color them if you don't want to. But I think this just adds a little bit more dimension to it. These are made out of wood, obviously, but you can do this out of paper and just use different colored paper, and then you would skip this whole coloring part of it if you do different colored paper. So that's my middle tier. Set that off to the side, and then for this top one, it's gold, and for that I'm gonna put a piece of paper underneath it, just because I don't want to get this gold ink on it. And this is an oil-based marker. And you have to kind of shake it to make sure that it's well distributed. And then the tip is kind of, you pump it. So you press it up and down a little bit and it gives you some of the ink. And as, there you go, you can see the gold. It's hard to tell at different angles what it is, that I'm actually doing anything to it. But once I move it, you can see that it has the gold shine to it. And then once this is colored, then it's just a matter of putting these layers together. So I have my base. This is gonna get glued on top of here, which the difference between the two just gives it a very nice finish. And then this is the top layer. So with the gold right there, you can kind of see the gold depending on how I'm holding it. Okay, so cool design to do. Again, you can do it out of paper. I did make this out of paper for a different design. I glued it on acetate for a book folding project that I did. So this is the same horse that I cut using paper. Now Cricut would never be able to cut this fine detail, but with the xTool laser cutter, piece of cake, no problem at all. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I won't spend the time with gluing these layers together, but you get the idea. You know, you can make these smaller and turn them into ornaments. That's a really fun idea with it. And you can put the horse's name on the back if the owner has a horse. It's just some ideas with that. Again, this was per viewer requests or per Facebook member requests about showing how I made the horse mandala. And again, you can do it out of paper, but for something this intricate, you would have to use a laser cutter. And definitely recommend the xTool just because it's such a great machine. If you have any questions, please comment below. Look forward to seeing your comments, and don't forget to join that Facebook group. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next project. Hi, welcome to Crafted Sweetly. In this video, I'd like to show you how to create this wood mandala based on